What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of No Reserves Football. I am your host, Angelo. Here with me, as always, is Alex. And Alex, I'm
Hey,
not
hey.
going to lie, I am supremely sleep deprived because of the fantasy draft I did yesterday. So if I sound crazier than normal, that's because of that.
Yeah. Hey, guys. Good to be back. Yeah, I'm also not sleep deprived, but a bit hit by the heat stroke right here where I'm currently am on vacation. So yeah, might be a slower episode than usual, but we'll make it work.
So today we talk about our NFC predictions, and I kind of um, preluded that we're probably going to argue about the Saints. Looking at it,
Yeah.
and I do think the NFC we are a lot closer on a lot of the NFC predictions than we were on the AFC predictions, which was kind of surprising to me.
Yeah. I think actually the one we might be split apart the most is the North. But we'll get onto that when we get there. So yeah. Seems a bit closer than the other one, but still some points where we disagree. We do seem to have the same like bad teams in each division, so maybe
Yeah,
those are just a bit too obvious. So
yeah, no, 100%. So let's get it started. Unless you have something you want to talk about.
no, I think we can jump straight into. Is it the East we're talking about first?
Yep, the NFC East. So
Sure.
I'll start off with mine first. I have the Eagles being the first team to go back to back in a while, finishing 12-5. Then I have the Cowboys 10-7 with that ridiculous offense. The Giants 7-10, and I think the Commanders are abysmal and finish 2-15. I
Yeah.
think
The
this is where I'm most likely to be wrong because I think the Commanders might be better than I'm giving them credit for, and the Cowboys might be better than I'm giving them credit for. But go on.
Yeah, the order we have the same exact order, just a little bit different in the records because I have the Eagles still at first, going 12-5, same record, same exact record, both overall in in the division. Then I have the Cowboys with one less win. I have them going 9-8. The Giants with one more win than you, but still third in the division at 8-9. And then finally, I have the Commanders going 5-12. So I think they'll be bad, but apparently not as bad as you seem they will be. That's mostly because I'm not sure if I trust Sam Howell, and I think Jacoby Brissett can be the type of quarterback that wins you one or two games that you probably shouldn't, just because he limits the turnovers, and maybe the defense can hold on because I don't think the Commanders' defense is as bad as it was last year, with Young coming back.
So timeout.
Even though
You don't think Howell even finishes the year as the starting quarterback for the Commanders?
I don't think Al or one other like second year quarterback in the NFC finish the year as starters, or at least play the full season as starters. They get benched at some point. Maybe the backup comes in, plays a few games, and then when the team see there's no chance of doing anything, the rookie goes back in. But yeah, I think Washington might be one of those cases where Jacoby Brissett might have a shot at actually playing more than we think.
So
And I Kobe is it's not a great quarterback. He's like a fine quarterback that can win you some games by limiting those mistakes.
that's fair. So let's talk about the Cowboys for a second because I think both of us might not be giving them their fair due because Micah Parsons is one of, if not the best defensive player in the NFL. And the Cowboys consistently have a top 10 offense. So just those two combinations combined, could they get to 11, 12 wins like they did last year?
I mean, they could, but I still don't like their head coach. And now the OC has changed. It's not Kellen Moore
Kellen Moore.
anymore.
Yeah.
He went to the Chargers. So
Mhm.
I think McCarty is way too conservative of an head coach, and I think Kellen Moore got him a bit out of that zone. and now I just think it's going straight back to the Packers, like the last few years of the Packers, where it's a very predictable type of football, and I don't think they have the necessary personnel to run that. He has been quoted on as saying that he wants to run the ball even more. And for those short yardage situations and so on, Zeke was really useful for them, which I don't think he'll be coming back, at least not according to the latest reports.
Yeah, there are
Um,
rumors they wanted him back, but
yeah,
that's
but
probably.
I don't. Doesn't seem like a connection is coming back, especially from Zeke's side. So yeah, I I like the
But
offense. I like the offensive line. I don't like Dex last year, turnover wise. I'm not sure if you can tune that down or if it's just the
but
QB that he is right now. But
I
I
how
don't love them.
how many times has Dak led the league in interceptions though? I don't think that's the quarterback he is. And even if it is, let's even assume that you're right. What you're saying is they're going to run the football more. So just that in of itself, I got cut out, didn't I?
Yeah, you got cut
All right.
out.
Okay. But regardless, okay. I'll keep that in. That's fine. You just said that the head coach says he wants to run the football more, correct?
Yes.
So just in that logic, if you think that correlates to on the field performance, Dak is going to have less opportunities to turn the ball over, even if that is the quarterback he is now. So, and I do think there's some like mismatched messages because Brandon Cooks just got brought in. They have CeeDee Lamb, Brandon Cooks, and now a healthy Michael Gallup. They have Tony Pollard. If they don't plan on passing the ball, I don't know why they have all those pieces.
I mean, if they pass the ball more, then I mean, Dak has thrown like double digits interceptions in three of the last 4 years, and the one that he didn't, it was the one that he got hurt, so he only played 5 games. So I think it might be the QE that Dak is becoming. And even in that year, I mean, he played 5 games, he had 4 interceptions. So it might be the type of quarterback that Dak is becoming, the one who tries to do too much. And I mean, I never truly loved Dak as the truly elite QB. I think like a lot of us right now play fantasy football, and I think that changes our perception of the player. When he's good in fantasy football, we assume he's good in actual football, and that's not often the case. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think they'll run more. I think the offense will be more conservative. That will put Dak in places in which he'll have to throw the ball more because I don't think they will be as effective without Zeke in those short yardage moments. So it might be an offense that isn't as dynamic. So might have to try and make some comebacks, and that will lead to even more turnovers. So yeah, I like the Cowboys. I don't love the Cowboys. I think the offense will be good. I don't think it will be anything spectacular. But yeah, the loss of Amari Cooper like 2 years ago or so, or last year, I think it really impacted them. And CD is great, but I don't think CD alone, even with Brandon Cooks right now, I mean, Brandon Cooks is always kind of underappreciated, but I don't know,
Yeah,
man. I don't really think that Brandon Cooks is the one that will flip that switch. And I think it will be closer to last year, where it's a team with a good defense, an O-line that is starting to regress somehow from like the elite O-lines that we remember from like his rookie season and so on. And without Zeke, who wasn't really very effective, but he was very good in those short yardage moments, I think the offense will be hurting quite a bit to start.
see, I don't know. I don't. I think you might be right that maybe I view Dak better than he actually is, but at the same time, even if Dak is an average quarterback, you still have all those weapons and a decent offensive line. Like they're gonna be a decent offense. They're gonna be a top 10 offense.
Yeah, I think it will be top half for sure. I just don't think top half versus, for example, the Eagles 2 games. Their schedule isn't like the easiest in the world, I believe. Yeah, so they face like the, for example, to start, they have like the Giants, which I mean we can give the Giants a lot of crap for what they do, but it's still a tough division matchup. Then they play the Jets, and then I mean they go to they get they go to Arizona, and then they receive the Pats. So I mean it's not an easy starting schedule, especially when you look then at week 5. I mean, the all I'm just looking at the games as I go along, and then like the top 6 games, it's like Giants, Jets, Arizona, Patriots, 49ers, and the Chargers. So it's a tough opening stretch that I think they will be reeling there. So we might be giving like the little star at the helmet and the America team more credit that they actually deserve because I don't think it's a 10-win team. But I'm not the biggest like Cowboys supporter, so maybe
So, okay, so we both have the Eagles consensus. So then, since you're not a fan of the Eagles, do you see the Giants maybe taking second place, having a shot at doing that?
a fan of the Cowboys. I mean, I have them like 1 game apart right now. So, I mean, a switch of the game, and I think it's a late one. Yeah. I mean, if in week 10 I switch up the results and I have the Giants winning, then yeah, the Giants make the playoffs. So it's very close. I think it will be a close team. Overall, I like the Cowboys a little bit more. I think the Giants overachieved somewhat last year. Um, but yeah, I could see the Giants making without much trouble. I just don't want to give them that little bit of credit until they prove themselves again.
I think for me, it's
So
the
yeah,
weapons. Like they have drafted amazingly. They are real. They have gotten a lot better on both their front lines, both their offensive line and their defensive line. They have found a system for Daniel Jones to thrive in. I don't like any of the weapons there. They brought in Darren Waller. Darren Waller has been, let's be honest, he hasn't lived up to Darren Waller's name in the last 2 seasons, and not very often do you see someone go bad season, great season at the age of 31. So I know you
to
had him as your comeback player of the year, but I think there's also a huge possibility Darren Waller just isn't that good anymore. He
I
isn't
mean,
he isn't a top 3 tight end anymore.
the main issue with Aaron Waller is the injuries because when he plays, the dude is still good. From most of the stats that I've seen, he's still good. And I mean, all the reports from camp is that like is the best weapon that the Giants have. He has been a
Does
menace
he compete
to every single defender that he
He's
have.
better than Hodges. He's better than Slayton. Good job.
Yeah, he's better than Rodgers. He's better. I mean, but no one on defense can contain him. So I mean, I think it is. It's a good.
He gets the golf
Fair
clap.
warning.
Good job.
Fair warning to everyone. We just found out about this, about this little add-on that Discord has. So yeah, we'll be using this quite a bit more. Um, but yeah, I think Darren Waller will be a good weapon this year, and it will elevate the Giants somewhat. Overall, I just don't like the wide receivers, man. I like the
I
tight
agree.
end, but the wide receivers, yeah, as you said, it's a bit in question. I don't think really the question is Waller and Saquon. It's everyone else, and is can the O line take another step
Because
towards being
here, I got a
that
hot
good
take. I got
unit?
a hot take. I got a hot take. Because I didn't like Josh Allen until Stephon Diggs, and I was even still skeptical after they first acquired Stephon Diggs. I think the difference between Daniel Jones and before acquiring Stephon Diggs, Josh Allen isn't that big of a gap, and I think they need that number one wide receiver to really. Because I think the system works for Daniel Jones. I really do. I think they need that elite wide receiver weapon to allow him to take the next step if he's going to take the next step.
Could they use Waller in that role then? Assuming his health continues to
Tight end?
not be an issue. I mean,
Maybe.
just put him out wide. I mean, he's pretty good.
He's not.
From all
He's
we've
good.
seen
He's
right
not
now,
Kyle Pitts.
I mean, he isn't Kyle Pitts. Yeah, Kyle Pitts is like a unicorn, but still,
Yeah.
I mean, he's sort of like that big mold of tight end was very fast, and I think he can be slotted outside.
Okay.
I mean. maybe we're sleeping on Jalen Hyatt. I didn't love Jalen Hyatt out of college, and I think the guys from Tennessee are pretty hard to project to the pros because of how that offense is constructed.
Hmm.
But maybe we are not giving him his proper dues because I mean he's a weapon. Maybe that's the missing link. I still think that they, as you said, they are missing that true alpha wide receiver. Maybe they can be players in the trade market when a superstar gets disgruntled. So we'll see. I mean, I think it's really close between them and the Cowboys to be the second team in the division. I'm giving it the Cowboys because of what you said, like the weapons and so on. I think it's slightly better,
Yeah.
but yeah. I mean, I still have the Giants with a better division record than the Cowboys, for example. I
Funny
just have
enough, I have them
them
with
like
the same record.
yeah. I just have them losing like one more game that they shouldn't, and that just dismantles the team because they go from like instead of being in the playoff contention, now they're completely out. Yeah.
Okay. Let's move on to the NFC North. So this is where we have the biggest difference. So I have the Lions going 11-6 and winning the division. I have the Vikings going 10-7 and making the playoffs. The Packers going 9-8 and the Bears finishing at the bottom at 7-10. As much as that pains me to do.
Yeah. I mean, we are pretty similar there in the end because I still have the Bears losing the division. They're the last team. I have them 5-12, which is a bit worse than you have them. But I mean, our division winner is completely different. I have the Packers going 9-8, 5-1 in the division, winning the NFC North.
At
The
nine and
Lions
eight?
at 9-8, the
At
Lions
just
at nine
at
and eight as well.
oh man.
Yeah, 9-8. They are second in the division because they have a worse division record. They have 3-3, and I have the Vikings underperforming. Or I mean, should I say, like going back to the norm because I think they overperformed last year, and I think they know that.
They know they
But they go,
overperformed last year.
yeah, and they go 8-9. So yeah, just I was really torn between the Vikings and the Lions, but as you know, like I like the Lions quite a bit. I liked them last year when most people were still sleeping on them. I just don't think Lions as division winners will happen as we've predicted, as you have predicted.
I do.
But yeah, I
And
still think the Packers rule the North this year with Jordan Love at QB,
I
and we
think
seem to differ there.
yes, I think that very similar to the AFC North, the NFC North is going to be home to a lot of shootouts. So in the shootouts, who have the best offenses? I think the Lions and the Vikings have the best offenses. The
Yeah,
Lions have a
yeah,
decent offensive line. The Lions just drafted an explosive running back in Jameer Gibbs. They added
David
Montgomery from the
Montgomery.
Bears. Yes. They still have Amon-Ra St. Brown. I think the Vikings overall have better weapons because they have the best wide receiver in the NFL, Justin Jefferson. And they just added, like, it seems like every team added something in the offseason. Just about.
I mean,
The Packers
and the
drafted
Packers have it as well.
yeah, the Packers drafted a rookie wide receiver, Reed, in the second round. The Bears added, when they traded down, they added DJ Moore. Like, every team in the NFC North added offense. So I guess give me the case for the Packers at 90-8 because I think the Packers could be a sneaky offense. And when we get to the fantasy portion of our show, I'm actually going to talk about them fairly decently. So why the Packers?
Yeah, I
Because
have
they
the
have the
Packers
best
because
defense.
I think they have the best defense in the division. They've added in the first round Lucas Van Ness, which is a prospect that I really like. And I think overall the offense is intriguing because for I didn't watch like a lot of Packers games last year, but one of my league mates is a big Packers fan, and every time I talked with him about the offense, it didn't really seem like it was like an issue with the offense overall. It was more Aaron Rodgers not wanting to run the offense that was in place with the personnel that he had, and he wanted to run the type of offense that he had with Devontae Adams. And I think when they traded out Adams, they wanted to redo the offense, have a lot of sort of similar how to the Chiefs ran their offense, like don't have
West
like
Coast offense. The
a main
Chiefs are a
wide
West Coast
receiver. Yeah,
offense too. They want to run it like that.
yeah, yeah. But I mean, I don't think Aaron Rodgers wanted to execute that. He wanted to execute his offense, and when the personnel isn't there, I think that's where it went south. And I think Jordan Love, after being on the bench for like, was it like 3 years or 4 years
It
behind
was 3 years.
Rodgers? Yeah, I think it he has learned the offense, and I think he has learned something from Rodgers, much like Rodgers learned from Favre. And I mean, he has a lot of pieces to work with. He still has Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon in the backfield. He has now Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs. They added two tight ends, was it Tucker Kraft and Luke Musgrave,
Yes.
and then they had Jaden Reed
Yep.
on offense as well. I mean, he has a lot of pieces to work with. The O line should be solid.
Mhm.
So yeah, I think overall in the end, the I still like the Lions to still have some impact in the division. I think like the Vikings will be back to the norm. They made moves in the offseason that tells me that they know they overachieved last year and they want to sort of do this like a soft rebuild year. So
Mhm.
yeah, I think the Packers still run the North this year. Uh, Jordan Love does well enough to the point where he gets a contract extension, a
Yes.
long contract extension. So yeah, I like the Packers. I like the personnel. I think the offense is better than what they showed last year. And I think Mike LaFleur is a sneaky candidate for an award we'll be talking down later this episode. So yeah,
Coaching.
I really like the Packers, and I think they sneak a win here. I think they're like third in the division in terms of odds to win it. So yeah, I think they make a sneaky move and win it.
As far as the Bears go, because let's talk about Justin Fields. You think they're going to go 5-12? I think they're going to go 7-10. I still don't think they're at the point where they can compete in the offensively stacked division that they're in. I think Justin Fields offensively can be a cheat code. He can get you 100 rushing yards and he can get you some production through the air as well. And I think we've seen every year, even if you don't want to give him credit, that he's improved his passing year over year over year. And now he finally has a deep target to go to in the form of DJ Moore. So I guess why do you believe that they won't really make that much of a difference from last season?
Partly is the defense. I don't think they have improved the defense nearly as much as they should have. I think you should always start the defense from the edges, and I think they failed massively there. They invested a lot on the off-ball linebackers.
Hmm.
They signed Terrell Edmonds from was it Terrell? Yeah, it was Terrell. They aren't they like two brothers, Terrell and the other guy from like Pittsburgh.
Hmm.
But yeah, Terrell Edmonds they signed from the Bills, gave him a big contract, and then they got like T.J. Edwards from the Eagles, also giving him a big contract, not as huge as Edmonds, but still. And I think that formula really doesn't work in today's NFL because like off-ball linebacker is like one of the least important positions right now in the defense, and I don't think they have nearly as much pass rusher prowess from their defense, and I think they'll struggle there, especially in the division they're in. And then I mean, when you look at the offense, I like DJ Moore, but I don't think DJ Moore will change some of Justin Fields' like shortcomings. I think he's like a pretty good, if not great, rushing quarterback, but I think passing wise, he still needs a lot to work with. The O line, I think it will improve somewhat. It's still, I think they had like Darnell Wright in the with the 10th pick overall in the draft. Running back, slight downgrade. I think I like Montgomery, and they are going down to Khalil Herbert, Deontay Foreman, and the rookie that they added, which is Rashawn Johnson.
Yeah, Johnson.
Um, yeah, but I still can't love Fields. I mean, a lot of the advanced analytics are still against him. A lot of people predict like a Jalen Hurts type bounce back season
I don't
since they
know if
added
it's
DJ
that if
Moore.
it's going to be that extreme. I still
Yeah.
think he came in more raw than people wanted to give him credit for, and he needs like I think what he does with his second contract is going to be very telling, because I think if he turns into Jalen Hurts, it's going to be during the second contract.
Does he get a second contract with the Bears though?
That's a good question.
Yeah, because from what we know, like the talks leading up to the draft was that they were looking at all the options available. I think he got an okay this year to be their guy, but I think it's a short leash, and if he doesn't improve somewhat to like an average
Here,
level type of passer, I think all the
here's
cards are on the table for the Bears.
here's the problem if you're a developing quarterback or you're a journeyman. Like, here's the problem if you're like Justin Fields or if you're like Geno Smith or any of the other young quarterbacks who still haven't like hit. Caleb is coming. like so so at the end of the day, I think at the end of the season we're going to see a mad dash for teams trying to tank to get to that number 1 overall pick. Because I don't know how many quarterbacks like you would feel safe if you had that number 1 pick. Like obviously if you're the Bengals or the Bills or the Chiefs, like okay, if you get the number 1 pick, you're not going that route. But after those teams, how many quarterbacks you got left that
Yeah,
you'd
not a
rather
lot at
have?
all. And
So,
I mean, and we talk a lot about Caleb Williams,
mhm,
but Drake May is also coming, and I think he'll be the type of guy that will get a lot of hype coming into this year.
mhm.
He's already getting a lot of hype, but it will be one of those guys. It will be one of those draft where it's QB 1, 2, and possibly 3 even. And yeah, I mean, the comparison that I always hear, as I said before, it's Jalen Hurts, but I don't think DJ Moore is the type of wide receiver that AJ Brown is, and I don't think Justin Fields has the type of season that Jalen Hurts had prior to getting AJ Brown. And you know that I didn't really like Hurts, but
You didn't.
the steps that he took were massive, and his improvements were massive, and I don't think it's the norm. I mean, you look at some of his advanced analytics. I mean, the dude had 318 pass attempts, and like 31 of those were danger plays. 25 of those were interceptable passes. So I mean, he was 12th in the NFL
I
in the
mean,
interceptable passes.
here's the thing. I think we've seen it more often recently than we have before then. So, Lamar Jackson. I think Lamar Jackson has panned out. Josh Allen. I had a lot of Josh Allen. There's no doubt he panned out. Jalen Hurts. There's no doubt he panned out. So I think honestly, and here's my case that I'm probably wrong on. I might be wrong on Anthony Richardson year 1. Is these mobile quarterbacks, these quarterbacks with elite speed, but also the ability to throw, keep on panning out for the teams that draft them. So why not Justin Fields?
Because the
Why
guys
can't Justin
currently in
Fields make the
place.
progression? Go ahead.
I think the issue is also like the guys who drafted Justin Fields and invested in Justin Fields are no longer here. So if Justin Fields has another subpar season, I mean, you don't want to be the head coach that gets fired with the quarterback that you didn't pick. So I
Mhm.
think it's one of those situations where you just cut your losses and you go get your guy. So if you're fired, it's because you went and had your guy and he still failed. I think it's one of those situations. But I mean, if Justin Fields takes like the earth step up, that I don't think he will, but still, all cards are off the table, and of course he will be the starter. Doesn't matter. I just don't think it will be the case, and I think he has a lot to correct still, and a lot of stuff like. I mean, you can look at a ton of stats that I mean, like his true completion percentage, 32nd in the league. Deep ball complete percentage, 22nd in the league. Pressured complete percentage, 24th in the league. I mean,
Yeah.
he takes steps up, I think, but it get masqueraded a lot because of his rushing, and I think that doesn't hold long in this league. So yeah, unless he takes those like Herculean step ups, I don't think he will be the quarterback of the Bears next year.
Interesting take. So we haven't talked about the Vikings. How many games do you think 1-2 throw it to Justin Jefferson wins them?
I mean, it wins them a ton. Doesn't win them enough for the playoffs. And now you can
Because
do one, two, throw it to Jordan Addison as well.
that's actually the next question I was going to ask you. So, what do you expect out of Jordan Addison? Because they drafted him in the first round, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And
I think
the,
I
go
think he
ahead,
was drafted prior to no, it was before Quentin Johnston,
Justin.
which will
Yeah.
be a mistake that the Chargers made.
Oh, well, hey.
But yeah, regarding Edison, I like them as a prospect. I was a bit scared away after the combine and all of the like his height and weight and so on came out.
We never got to talk because we weren't doing the show then. And honestly, I didn't follow the combine. This is probably my worst year for the combine. But the wide receivers for this class were more disappointing than I thought they were going to be
Yeah,
based
and you
around the
can
hype.
see it. And you can see it in the draft capital. Like none of those guys were top 15 picks. Almost
Hmm.
none of those guys, apart from JSN, were top 20 picks. So
Yep.
yeah, it was. I think it was a more hyped up wide receiver class than it should be. I
And
think
JSN was barely a top 20 pick.
yeah, and I think like the combine played a part in it. But I mean, all of the reports leading up to the draft were that like the fantasy community and the analysts around the NFL in general were higher on the wide receivers than the actual like general managers and scouts were. So yeah, I think that those reports ended up being true. Uh, I like I like a lot of those guys. I don't love most of those guys. I truly only loved JSN. But Jordan Addison was my wide receiver too of this class, and I think he will be an impact player immediately. The early reports from camp weren't great. He got involved in that old speeding situation, plus he didn't practice a lot to start the camps. But as of late, he has been really going at it, and he seems to have an attitude shift here. So I'm excited about Jordan Addison, and I think Addison, Jefferson, and
Hawkinson.
TJ Hawkinson, yeah, it will be a pretty good receiving core. My main issue with them is that they really overperformed last year, and that their running back situation isn't great. I don't love Madison, and I think behind him, it's pretty shallow. So yeah, I think I have them going 8 and 9, which isn't great. It's a step back from last year. But the offense should be fine. I just think the defense and the running game won't be there to be a playoff team.
So, one of the reasons I selected the Lions is I don't know if you remember this, but well, you remember that I generally don't think coaching matters as much as the talent on the field. I've kind of come back a little bit on that take, but um, it was when they first got Campbell and they put him in the absolute worst situation. they like that Lions team that he inherited was beyond terrible. And I just saw him after like a close game, literally crying about how his players like, dude, I wanted to like run through a wall for him. I think that Campbell is going to get the most out of whatever that roster is, and I think the roster's offense is going to be very solid. The question is the defense, and I do think like they can't be worse. There's no way to go but up for that defense. They can't be worse than they were last year. There's no way.
Yeah, and I like
Ugh,
Lions as well. I was really not on the Dan Campbell side when he first joined them as a head coach, but I
he
mean,
wins you
like the
over.
dude, yeah, I mean, like that guy, as you said, I would run through a wall for him. The dude is like really emotional, and you just know that he wears his heart on his sleeve.
Yeah.
He's like a players type of coach, and I mean, he has that team fired up every time. I think they overachieved as well. They had more. That offense was great, and their offensive coordinator is pretty good, Ben Johnson. And yeah, as you said, I think the defense will be better than last year. I don't think it will be a whole lot better. The Jeff Okuda experience has failed tremendously.
Oh
But they
yeah.
have Jack Campbell, who I like. I think they overdrafted him, but I like Jack Campbell. He was the best linebacker in the draft, in my opinion. And yeah, I have them going to the playoffs. I think it's for what he has achieved with the Lions. I still think the NFL is a ruthless game, and if he doesn't make the playoffs this year, his job might be on the
You
line.
can't. You
I mean,
can't.
but for all he has achieved in turning that roster around and like making his players really feel the game and really playing for his shirt, basically, he still hasn't made the playoffs. And
Here's the thing. For better or worse, I think the Lions are they have to stay the course. They have to see where Campbell gets them and not try and set it up for the next coach.
yeah, I mean, overall, I would agree. I think Dan Campbell has done enough with the team that it buys him another year of not making the playoffs. But it's a results league at the end of the day, and for how much we like him as a coach right now, if the results aren't there, it's a ruthless league, and I don't think he will have the time to get another season under his belt. Honestly, it might be a bit of a shocking take, but yeah, it's a really ruthless league, and it's a results league. So the results aren't
So
there at the end of the season. The playoffs, I don't think he makes it.
so here's the question. When have the Lions ever gotten results in the results league?
I mean, but that's what they're looking for, and that's why they have so many coaches being fired. Every like every few years. It's just that they don't achieve those results, and I would guess that like one of the approaches could be going back and not firing some of those coaches that were doing okay jobs or good jobs before getting to the results. But I mean, it's the ownership. That's what they choose to do, and I don't think it will be different here. I think it's truly a job season for Coach Campbell, which I wouldn't want to see him go. And that's I mean, I have them going to the playoffs, so in my scenario, he's safe. If he doesn't
Okay.
make it, though, I'm not the most confident that he will be coaching the Lions in 2023, 2024, and in 2024, 2025.
That's fair. Let's move on to our next conference, which is the NFC West. And I can't believe I did this. I have the Seahawks winning the division at 11-6. I have the 49ers going in second at also 11-6. I have the Rams with a mini turnaround going 9-8, and I have the Cardinals absolutely in the Caleb Williams sweepstakes and going 3-14.
Yeah. I mean, we're similar in our record for the Cardinals. I think it's the worst roster in the league. I have them going 3-14. I think it's a Caleb Williams slot, likely because I mean I don't think Kyler Murray is it. Dude's too immature to be a starting quarterback in the league, and it's the same situation as the Bears. A new general manager, new head coach want to get is those guys in, like their guys in, and they won't risk losing a job for a guy that they have no connection with. So I think it's a Caleb Williams slot, and I mean at the top I have the Niners going 11-6, the Seahawks going 9-8, and the Rams going 7-10. I wish I was as bullish on the Seahawks as you are, as a Seahawks fan. Uh, but I don't see it. I think the Niners still win the division. I think we'll still be a good team. I don't think last year was an outlier. But I don't think the defense has improved enough. I like Bobby Wagner being back, but next to him, I don't love Jordan Brooks, and I don't love any of the signings that they had. I think Devin Bush is a bust for what he
Oh,
was supposed to be. I
I
mean,
guess that's
yeah, I
fair.
mean he's on his second contract. Everyone had pretty big hopes for him, and ever since the injury, dude is a liability on the field, in my opinion. Um, at the defense, I mean, I like a lot of our pieces on the defense, but I
I
don't
think your
think it will be
secondary
a
is really
unit.
solid.
I mean, it is, but I don't think it's a unit that gets us those 10, 11 wins. But I think we make the playoffs. Still, I have them going 9-8, making the playoffs. I just don't think we're at the level of the 49ers, partly also because of the O-line. It's a constant issue even last year.
That's
But
true.
yeah, with our running back one, Kenneth Walker, I think we will get places. Going 9-8. We don't really
Oh,
have
no.
many other running backs of note to talk about, but still,
What?
yeah.
You're really that low on Charbonnet, huh?
Yeah, I really don't like Charbonnet. It's more
What?
of a fantasy jab at some of our league colleagues, but still, I don't love Charbonnet. Yeah, I like Kenneth Walker, and I think it will be our guy. But still, 9-8, a good record. I think we make the playoffs. I'm not sure if we win like maybe we win like one game in the playoffs. I think the team is good enough for it. I don't think we have any of the championship aspirations. But yeah, I like the team overall. I don't love it, so that's why I have them going 9-8.
So here's a question for you, because here's the most interesting thing we'll get to talk about with the 49ers. Who do you think starts the season as quarterback for the 49ers, and who do you think finishes the season at quarterback for the 49ers?
I think Brock Purdy starts the season as the quarterback for the 49ers. I think Trey Lance ends the season as the quarterback for the 49ers.
I generally
Yeah.
agree with that too, because
Yeah,
you
and I think
drafted
we
Trey
might see.
Lance. Go ahead.
Yeah, but I think we might even see some Sam Darnold. But yeah, I think the season ends with Trey Lance as the QB.
You have to. Everything you invested to get Trey Lance in your building, you are committed to him. You have to at least see if you can do it with them. There's like no. I Brock Purdy did great for the opportunity he was given. Brock Purdy was not someone they drafted fourth overall and sent, treasure trove of draft picks to acquire. That's
And
just a
it's
reality.
again the leash that the player has. Like a first round pick has much more leash than a seventh round pick. And even though
Hmm.
Purdy did pretty good last year, I think it's fair to if you I've watched plenty of games of them, and like some of his throws, they just weren't intercepted by pure luck, in my opinion. Yeah, but I think that's something that comes down back to earth. I think his turnovers rise up quite a bit, and that's part of the reason why he gets benched for Trey Lance. And then Trey Lance, like I think there's untapped potential there. We haven't truly seen what Lance is right now. Uh, Folks are quick to call him a bust, but I don't think the I think the jury's still out on him, and I think we need to see him more before we can call him whatever. So yeah, I have them starting with Purdy, ending the season with Lance. I like the team overall. So
Yeah,
yeah, that's why I have them winning the NFC West. Like Kyle Shanahan is a magician in the run game, so they'll always have a run game. Why either with CMC, Elijah Mitchell, or Tyrion Davis Price. So yeah, I think the offense will be good. The defense is it's phenomenal.
yeah.
The
There's
quarterback situation will hold them up a bit, and I think that's why they don't make like a Super Bowl or anything, because they will be missing that QB and they will play that revolving door game of QBs. So
I think
yeah,
there's a chance they make the Super Bowl.
you think?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if I'd consider them the favorites, but there's definitely a chance. They're definitely gonna. I think there's a very good chance. Well, no, I don't. They're gonna make a deep playoff run. That's
I mean,
just
I
that's.
agree with that. I don't think they make it all the way towards the finish line because
But
of this
here's the
QB
thing:
situation at the start.
if you're in position to get to the finish line, eventually you're gonna get to the finish line.
Yeah.
So
I mean, could be next season. Next season, if the QB situation is solved, they ship one of them out. In my scenario, Purdy, and they focus solely on their guy, and maybe that's the season where they make it all the way through. But yeah, that situation at the start, I don't think it will help them. It destabilizes the team somewhat, and I think it persists towards the season, throughout all of the season. So I have them just missing any sort of like Super Bowl or maybe even NFC Championship,
hmm,
because of those early situations. The year after, though, I think they're the one of the better contenders, though.
Okay, so let's talk about a few of the other teams. The Rams, well, we already talked about the Cardinals. We don't think the Cardinals are going anywhere. But the Rams, do you think they'll have a mini bounce back season with Cooper Kupp and Stafford healthy?
I mean, I do. I don't think how big. I'm not sure how big of a bounce back it will be. All of the reports around Stafford was that he was pondering retirement and that the Rams were thinking about shipping them. Uh, I mean, I think that after that they sort of said that that's bogus and that they never thought of it. I still don't believe them. I think Stafford is doesn't have long, isn't long in the tooth. I don't think he will be a starting quarterback for much longer in the league. Not because he doesn't have the talent, but because of his health and all of the situations with his wife. I know. I think he will try to preserve his health as much as possible.
You don't think he's long
Um,
for the NFL? Is that what you're saying?
no, I don't think so. I don't think so. And yeah, I think he starts the whole season. Maybe you see like one or two games of Stenson Bennett at the end when they are eliminated from the playoffs. But yeah, bounce back season. I have them going 7-10. That O line isn't great.
No.
That DB room is terrible in my
They
opinion. They
lost
lost
Jalen Ramsey.
Ramsey,
Yeah.
yeah, which was the main link there. And I mean, even in the linebacking room, they lost Bobby Wagner, and now it's just I like Ernest Jones, but it's still just Ernest Jones. There's not a lot of depth in that team. So yeah, the talent overall isn't bad. I just don't think it's playoff worthy. 7-10, I think it's a fair record for them. I think they'll be like a 6 to 7 win team. So yeah, that's basically my thoughts on them. An
Okay.
okay team.
An okay team. Yeah, I mean, I think at the end of the day, we're pretty much in the same boat. You just have like one or two more wins than I do, or two losses than I do.
Yeah.
But let's move on to the last conference, the conference we're probably going to fight on. Let's talk about the NFC South. I have the Saints winning the division at 10-7. I have the Falcons finishing second at 8-9. The Panthers finishing at 7-10. And the Buccaneers going 6-11.
Yeah. In my predictions, I have the Falcons doing 9-8, making the playoffs as the division winner. Then I have no other team in the division making it. I have the Saints going 8-9. I have the Panthers going 7-10, much like you. And I have the Buccaneers going 5-12. I mean, tell me why you like the Saints so much.
Because the difference between Derek Carr and Jameis Winston, and even Jimmy
Andy Dalton, that
Garoppolo.
was the QB.
Oh, sorry, Andy Dalton. I forgot Jameis didn't get.
Yeah.
But anyway, is huge. There's no way. There is no way that team's offense doesn't vastly improve. So if the team's offense vastly improves, they get Michael Thomas back, who's healthy as well. They have Chris Olave. Kamaro's coming back after 3 games, and the defense isn't like. How? What's your case? Why are they going to be a sub 500 team?
I mean, I think we
Better
give Derek
question.
Carr way too much
Why is
credit.
Desmond Ritter going to win the division?
I mean, the answer to that question is Arthur Smith. I think the dude will make a pretty good run game with Bijan. And I don't think Desmond Ritter plays the whole season. I think Tyler Heineke plays a good part of it. And I just think they're the better team overall in the division. I think they're invested heavily on the defense. They have invested like three straight years of first round picks on the offense in Pitts, Drake London, and Bijan. The O line is pretty good as well. I don't love Ritter, but I don't think it will cost them a lot of games because it will be a run centric game. I think it will be a lot of slow games, a lot of games where the pace of play is really slow.
Here's the thing.
Um,
Here's the thing.
yeah,
You quite literally just said they have a bunch of offensive pieces, and then followed that up with, I don't think the games are going to be fast paced. I think they're going to be a lot of grindy games. So basically, what you just said, they do not have the quarterback play, and they won't have the pace of play to support the weapons they have. So how are
Yeah,
they winning the division?
but they will have like those pretty big drives where they dominate the time of the clock basically. I think it will be a lot like early Seattle with Russ, where we just dominate the time of possession. We don't give the ball we don't give the ball up a lot. They invested in the defense quite a bit. They got Jesse Bates in, they got Caden Ellis in,
They did.
they got David Onyemata in. They got a lot of pieces on that defense, and I think the offense will be run well enough that they can win the division. I have them. I mean, I still have them going 9-8. It's not a great team, but it's a solid team. It's one of those teams where that you don't want to see on the schedule because it's one really
You
grindy
don't
game.
want to
Uh,
see Desmond Ritter on your schedule.
Yeah, you don't want to see the Falcons on your schedule. It won't be the Desmond Ritter show. Those are Desmond Ritter can be replaced by any QB, and I think the offense will be still the same. And plus, they have like the easiest schedule in the league, the Falcons. So I really don't think they will be even that good. I just say 9-8 for the easy schedule. Uh, I mean, I think I like them. I like how that offense is built. I like how they will run the games. I don't know, man. I really like the Falcons, and I don't see it with the Saints. You seem to think like Derek Carr is this massive upgrade over Andy Dalton, and I mean, if you look at the analytics, dude really isn't. I mean, if I said, for example, who had the better red zone accuracy rating last year, who would you say?
It's Andy Dalton because Derek Carr has been historically bad in the red zone, but that's not the reason you like the Saints. The reason you like the Saints is because Derek Carr is top 10 in deep ball throws, and he's throwing to Chris Olave now and Michael
Okay,
Thomas.
so who had a better deep ball accuracy rating last year? Derek Carr or Andy Dalton?
I'm going to go Derek Carr, but you're going to say Andy Dalton, right?
Andy Dalton had a 5.9 deep ball accuracy rating. Derek Carr had a 5.8.
But
So yeah, I mean,
but
whichever
he
stat you look
throws
like,
it more.
you look at.
How okay? How many times did they each one throw it?
Okay, so
Yeah,
as for
yeah.
deep ball pass attempts,
Uh
Andy Dalton at 39, Derek Carr at 72.
huh. It's really easy to be more accurate when you don't throw it. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, I mean, but are they just gonna leave off the deep ball?
Huh?
Is that what you're telling me?
They
Are they
could,
just gonna leave off
but their
the
defense
deep
is.
ball?
They're gonna score more points because they have Kamara after 3 games. They have Michael Thomas. They have Chris Olave.
They
They
have
have
they
the.
have Michael Thomas for like a game.
Oh, stop it.
Michael Thomas is always injured, dude. Michael Thomas is not like the Breeze Saints Michael Thomas. It's a pretty beat up Michael Thomas at this point, who hasn't played a full season in what? Who hasn't played basically in what? 2 3 years? I mean, he played like a couple games last year, and that's basically it. So yeah, I don't see it with Michael Thomas. He can have a comeback, but I mean, we're making him out to be much more than he actually is at this point. Uh, and I just don't see it with Carr. I think he's awfully similar to Andy Dalton, and he's more similar to Andy Dalton than we might be giving him credit for. Like his red zone stuff is pretty much similar to Andy Dalton. I mean, deep ball, yeah, you have a point there, but like short game, Andy Dalton hasn't beaten basically everything. And if you're telling me that Derek Carr can complete the short passes, uh, and he's just going to be throwing it deep. I don't think that offense will be very proficient because I mean the teams will just adjust to it,
Derek
and at
Carr
that
last
point,
season had a top 10 offense. You're telling me you don't think that offense goes from Andy Dalton to Derek Carr and it doesn't improve?
Derek Carr last year also had the leading rusher in the NFL, and he had Devontae Adams. I mean, we like Chris Olave. Chris Olave is not Devontae Adams.
Chris Olave is
Yeah,
going to finish
so
the season better than Devontae Adams with Jimmy Garoppolo. There's my hot take.
I mean, I could see it. He's still not the type of wide receiver that Devontae Adams is. Devontae Adams is undoubtedly a top 3 wide receiver in the league, and I don't
Right.
think Chris
Just
Olave
like
is there
Derek
yet.
Carr is undoubtedly better than Andy Dalton, but we still seem to be debating it.
I mean, the analytics really show him to be closer to the Andy Dalton than we think.
I'm sure
I
he's
mean,
closer to Garoppolo. The analytics say that as well, but that doesn't account for volume, and that doesn't account for. Man, I think you're overthinking this, and
I
the
mean,
Saints are
you
winning
might
this
have a
division.
point, but from what I see, it's really not that different in my opinion. I think I have the Saints going 89. The defense it's okay. It has some pieces that I like. It's not excellent. The offense, again, it's okay. I don't think there's much there besides Chris Olave. Kamara is reaching that age that we don't love. Jamal Williams is there, but I think Jamal Williams is more a product of the system
So
last
here's
year.
the thing: I've
Yeah.
seen this a lot with football, especially fantasy football, talking about age mattering with running backs. You had a very excellent point on, I don't know if it was the first episode or the second episodes that we ever did, but the drop, the hill is based around touches. It's not based around age. So how close is Kamara to that touch threshold is my question. And that's what we really should be looking at.
Oh, I mean that's
Right?
a pretty good question. That's a pretty good
Am I right
question.
or wrong?
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I mean, he wasn't the most used QB running back out of college. Plus, he has missed some games, and he is bound to miss the first 3 games of the year. So, but I mean, he still had some of those seasons where he got a lot of touches, especially reception. So he
Yeah.
might be close to that edge, but still. I like Kamara. I don't love Kamara. I think I've used this expression a lot, and I use them a lot with the Saints in this point because I like Derek Carr. I don't love Derek Carr, and I still think he's living off those seasons where he was really good with the Raiders, and then he got injured, and when he got to the playoffs, I believe. I think it was a double digit win season for the Raiders a few years ago.
Oh,
I,
breaking news. Speaking of, we're talking about the Saints. Kendra Miller has headed to the locker room after a visit to the medical tent.
oh,
So
that's
Kendra
just
Miller.
that's just great for my fantasy team. I swear. Yeah,
So their
yeah. Well,
running
there
back
you go.
depth might not be as solid until
Well,
Kamara comes back. So I disagree with you. The Falcons, I kind of put talked about it earlier. I think they have more weapons than they have ways to get those weapons like reasonable touches. I don't think they'll be a bad team by any stretch, but I don't think they'll be a great team. Granted, I guess you're in the same boat.
what if Heineke starts more games than Ritter? Does your opinion change?
Not really.
No. Okay. Yeah, because I
No.
think Heineke is a better QB and he's a better gunslinger. So those weapons will be more
So
utilized than they will be with Ritter.
so here's the thing that I think we don't talk about enough. So Kyle Pitts coming out is one of, if not the best tight end to ever test that we've ever seen. He's 6'6", he runs stupid fast, he jumps stupid high. Like he can get the ball pretty much anywhere you throw it, right?
Yeah, agreed.
So they drafted this freak, and then the next season they came back and they decided, let's get a wide receiver. And then the season after that, they decided, okay, let's get the best running back who's ever played college football since like Saquon Barkley. So I don't think Kyle Pitts' is ceiling is as high as people make it out to be, because I think Kyle Pitts almost needs his own offense. And the Falcons are never going to be that as long as they have Bijan Robinson in his prime, as long as they have Drake London there.
I don't 100% agree. I agree in part of it. I don't think it will be the weapon that we thought it would be until there's better QB play in town. And
I
when
think
there's better
even with
QB
that, there's
play,
too much competition. I think Drake London is better
I
at
mean,
getting targets than Kyle Pitts. Not that he's a better athlete. He is better at securing targets and making his case for you to throw it to him if you're his quarterback than Kyle Pitts is.
I think part of that was Mariota. I don't think he was comfortable with Pitts, and I think I saw some tweets about it. That his quality of targets was terrible. Pitts,
Mm-hmm.
and Drake London wasn't that much better. He got better with Reader, but
Yes.
his depth of target wasn't great. And I think Pitts can also be better with Reader. I think Marcus Mariota really didn't play anything special. Uh, to the point where I would say Marcus Mariota might have been terrible. He just did okay enough to get some wins with that run game. And I really don't think Kyle Pitts has a lot of competition. He has Drake London and Bijan. And I think an offense with a better QB than Desmond Ridder, which I think will be happening soon. Because if I recall correctly, they were heavily in the run for Deshaun Watson at the time.
Yes, they were.
So it tells me that they know that they need a QB to get better, and when that QB comes, which I think will be next season, I think that offense will take a massive step forward, especially for fantasy football. Right now they have a lot of talent. As I've said before, they invested three first round picks in 3 straight years, and they were high picks nonetheless, but all of them top 10 in offense. I think Pitts is better than what we're giving him credit for. I think he'll get those targets that London gets, and he'll get them the same way as London did, and do as much, if not better, with those set targets than Drake London. Um, he just didn't have the chance last year with Mariota, and I think that changes with Ritter this year. He still isn't 100% healthy, and from reports I've seen from like uh, medical guys from Twitter and so on, the expectation is that he will be at full speed by around week 5 or 6. At that point, we might be seeing Heineke. So I'm actually excited for Pitts this season. I think Pitts we don't give Pitts enough credit for his first season. We seem to think that he's sort of like not
His
living
first
up to
season
the
wasn't
hype.
bad. It was just touchdown.
I mean, yeah, it was just touchdowns because other than that, do that 1,000 yards receiving in his first season as a tight end. That's sort of unheard of. Even with like an iffy offense and not great targets, he was still amazing. I would say he just lacked the touchdowns, and that's something that can change. That usually isn't really there's not really a way to predict those. But yeah, I like him. I still think is that unicorn tight end that we saw out of college, and I think he will take a step forward with Ritter or Heineke, because last year he just got to play with Mariota, and Mariota was terrible in my opinion.
So what about the Bucks? We have the Bucks being a bottom feeder and barely. What do you think about the offense? Do you think it's going to be a decent offense now that they replaced Tom Brady with Baker Mayfield? What do you think about the defense? Like, why do you think it's going to be the bottom team and it's not going to be the Panthers?
It's because their QB options are Baker Mayfield or Kyle Trask, and yeah, none of those QBs are good. The offensive line showed cracks last year, and that was with Tom Brady, who was one of the faster throwers of the football. Um, so yeah, well, he's like the best player to ever play the game, and now he's being replaced by a Baker Mayfield who might be beat out in camp by a Kyle Trask, who I honestly didn't like as a prospect. Uh, I don't see anything positive on that team besides the defense. I like some of their pieces, but yeah, I don't even like most of their linebackers. I like Laffonte David, uh, like White. Devin White. I really don't see happening anytime soon.
Really?
I think, yeah, yeah. I'm not the big Devin White fan. I think he gets a lot of like a free pass because he plays with Levante David. I think if he didn't play with that savvy vet type of linebacker who really plays well and who is really good, I don't think I think he would have been exposed by now because I think he has really glaring weaknesses, and I'm just waiting for the other shoe to drop. And I think it might be this season or
What
next.
kind of glaring weaknesses do you see in?
I think he's an athletic freak, but his coverage skills are really limited. He rushes the passer well, but I mean, coverage-wise, I think he has big issues that are sometimes masqueraded by having Levante David next to him.
Hmm.
So yeah, he has already asked for a trade because he didn't get the contract. Now he's back in camp. It appears that he will play this season. I just think the Bucks aren't giving him the contract because they know and they see the same things that we do, that isn't really up there in terms of what like his talent doesn't match the contract that he wants to. And I think it will still be the case this season. So yeah, don't really love him. I like the defense overall though. I think the defense is it's what gets them in some of those games. I just don't think the offense does much to help the defense in this case.
Hmm. Interesting.
Do you like
And
the offense though?
yes, believe it
You
or
like the
not,
offense?
I do. I do like the offense for two reasons. Because they have weapons where Baker Mayfield likes to thrive. So Baker Mayfield likes to do two things. He likes to dump it off to the running back, and he likes to take deep shots. Well, congratulations, Rashad White. You were one of the best pass catchers coming out of college in your class. You now have a quarterback who's going to dump it off again to you, just like Tom Brady did. Same with Mike Evans. He will. Baker Mayfield will throw 50. I think Mike Evans and Rashad White are going to make this offense run smoother than I think a lot of people are going to give it credit for.
Are we talking about the same Baker Mayfield that got replaced last year for a combination of Sam Darnold and PJ Walker?
Yes, we are talking about the same Baker Mayfield.
Great to know. Great to know. That's the guy who will lead this offense to to like being this really efficient and really like
I didn't say
out of
efficient. I
this
said
world
better than
offense.
people give it credit
Oh,
for.
better than okay. Got it. I mean,
I,
it's really on par with Brady from last year. I think there's not really a big change from what I'm hearing from you. It's pretty much the same guy, but different like shirt and probably a bit less handsome. But yeah, really good bet on Baker Mayfield. I'm not even sure if the dude starts the season. It might be Kyle Trask at this point, and if he's beat by Kyle Trask, you should just call your agent and say that you'll be retiring because I mean after being benched for PJ Walker and now you're benched by Kyle Trask, I mean, dude, it's over.
Baker
Dude was,
Mayfield to Alex.
I
That's
mean,
Baker Mayfield's career right there.
I never liked Baker, dude. I mean, the other shoe was that I really liked Sam Darnold. So, I mean, yeah, I guess I was half right, half wrong. At the end of the day, none of them did anything. I don't think. I think Baker got like that good season behind him in his rookie season, but after that, I mean, his weaknesses are just glaring. Dude's like a taller with less problems, Johnny Manziel. So I don't like him, and I think you are probably overrating him quite a bit. I mean. I,
Eventually.
I just don't see it. I just
Am I
don't see
over?
it
I
with
just lost
Baker.
the division. Am I overrating them? I'm just saying they're going to be better than the dog water people are saying they're going to be.
Yeah,
That's
because I
just
think
me.
they'll be dog water. I just think they'll be dog water, dude. I don't see anything. I mean, he likes to throw the deep ball a lot, so that's why his deep ball catchable pass rate last year was 54.8, 22nd in the league. I mean, I just don't see it with the dude. I think it might end up being the Caltrest show, or maybe they got a vet QE in there because you have a lot of vets in that locker room, and if you're telling those dudes that you are just playing Baker Mayfield and Kyle Trask, I mean, I just can't see the dudes being happy. I can't see the guys like Levante David or the edges in like Shaquille Barrett. being happy with that. So maybe they get a vet in if it really goes sideways, as I expect. But yeah, Baker, I don't see. Kyle Trask, not even close. I like the offense. I like the pieces on the offense. I like White. I like Godwin. I like Evans. The Titan situation is also nice. I think Kate Otten is better than he's being given credit for. It's barely talked about, and he was a rookie last year. I just liked some of the things that I saw from him. But
Yeah,
yeah,
K Don, not
uh,
bad.
yeah. But the offense as currently constructed with the QBs, I just don't see it. I think it's a 4 or 5 win team with the QBs, and if they get a vet in, maybe I don't know. Maybe Tom comes back from retirement. Maybe they get Philip Rivers back. I mean, Philip Rivers is an immediate update over Baker. So even what 3 years removed from football? Yeah. I just don't like Baker, and I don't see anything coming from that with Baker.
Wow. So I saved the team I could be the most wrong on for last. I do think there's a sneaky chance the Carolina Panthers do win this division. I just don't have it predicted. I have them going 7-10, and as a official card carrying member of the Terrace Marshall fan club, I would love to see that. But I don't know if Bryce Young in his rookie season could carry the team to a playoff berth. What do you think about the Carolina Panthers?
I like Rice is my QB1 from this class.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought their offensive line was better than what they showed in the preseason game. But if
If
that's
I,
what he will have to work with, I mean, Jesus. The dude
yeah.
will have a rough time because I believe I didn't watch the full game, but I believe from reports that I've read, dude was hit or pressured in almost every single snap that he took with the team last the preseason game. So yeah, if that's what he will have to work with, I fear for the dude's life because dude's really tiny, and I think he's a heck of a QB. But if he's constantly hurt, if he's constantly hit, I don't think he'll have much success. The offensive pieces, I mean, DJ Shark is okay. Adam Thielen probably a bit too old than he should be
Mm.
for being an effective wide receiver. I think he was really one of the least effective, efficient. I'm sorry, efficient wide receivers from last year. Then they added the rookie Jonathan Mingo, who's basically Terrace Marshall 2.0, so you probably shouldn't be too afraid of him. But yeah, you just keep the you just keep the Terrace Marshall dream alive for a bit longer. I mean, from
Alpha
reports
Terrace Marshall.
I
Alpha
mean,
wide receiver Terrace Marshall is coming.
to be fair to you, I did listen to a podcast the other day where they were interviewing a Panthers beat reporter, and the Panthers beat reporter was asked who was in her opinion the wide receiver one for the Panthers, and she did say Terrence Marshall Jr. So and that
As he
this
should.
this new and that this new coaching staff would probably unlock him because the Matt Rule era didn't really know how to use him that well. So maybe you still have some hope. Then at running back they have Miles Sanders there,
I don't want
who
to under sell how big of a Terrace Marshall fan. So if there's a fantasy league, I have Terrace Marshall in it. There is no there is no stone I have not uncovered to acquire Terrace Marshall in fantasy.
yeah, you
So,
really like them as a prospect.
yep. But regardless, do you believe Miles Sanders will help as far as, especially if the offensive line is the way we saw it in the preseason game? Do you think Miles Sanders will help kind of alleviate the pressure off Bryce Young and allow him to kind of smoothly get a feel for the Panthers playbook and the offense?
I think Miles Sanders is an okay running back. I don't think he's like that great of a running back overall. He will still alleviate some of the pressure from Bryce. That's probably where the game should flow. through the running back mostly to take some of that pressure off, as you said. But I mean, if the O line is as rough as we saw in preseason, week one or week two in this case, I'm not sure if the elephant counts as week one. Uh, it will be really rough, and it's one of the situations where the QB will really hurt his self-esteem, and he will pick up those bad habits. Although I believe with Bryce, I really think is one of the is a really good QB, and I think dude has it all basically except the size. And I don't think it will be that damaging to a QB like him. I think he will succeed no matter what in no matter team. Uh, he's just the size that concerns me a bit and the injuries.
Poor
If
guy's
the O line
5'9".
is that bad, yeah, 5'9", and with that O line, I mean, it's tough. But maybe the O line isn't as bad as we saw, and
Now,
maybe
correct me if
they.
I'm wrong. Didn't PFF have them graded as a top 10 or close to top 10 offensive line coming into the season?
I do believe it was something in that range. Yeah.
So I don't know if they're underperforming or if they just need to, get some more reps and they'll be fine. But
Yeah,
if the
maybe
offensive line is a top 10 unit, I think the offense as a whole will be fine.
maybe it was just the preseason stuff and nothing to really worry about. But
Yes.
yeah, uh, I do think you have it mistaken though. It's the Colts that were a top 10 line. I was just checking, but they still had them as a 16 unit in the league. So I think it's
Colts are
more than good
18 when I
enough for a
looked at
QB like
today.
Bryce. Yeah. It's more than necessary for a QB like Bryce. The
Hmm.
defense, I don't think they're great, but I don't think it will be the reason why they struggle as well. It's a fine defense. It's the O line in my opinion. If the O line isn't there, isn't up to the standards that we are expecting, then I could see them struggling. Still, I don't think it's a more than a 7 to 8 win team, which is good for Bryce and his rookie season. Yeah, I think it will be a good team, a good to average team. Probably doesn't have that leadership and that that veteran savviness to really push it forward and win those decisive games down in December. But that's probably it. I think it will be a good team no matter what. Just not playoff team.
No, I think there's an off chance they are a playoff team, but I don't think it's likely to happen.
Plus, another thing to consider is that the Saints and the Falcons have two of the easiest schedule in the league, and that doesn't apply to the Panthers. So that's probably where the differences are. They don't face they face better teams than their division opponents, and that's what hurts them in the end.
Yeah, very true. So, if you have listened this far, thank you so much. We are on every single, what's the word I'm looking for, Alex? Platform?
Platforms, yeah.
Platforms, yes. Platform imaginable, whether that be Google, whether that be Apple, whether that be Spotify. I know Alex likes to share the RSS feed and the Apple feed and the Google feed just in case. So he's got all his bases covered. So,
All discovered here.
so thank you for that. Just out of curiosity, in Portugal, what is the number one used platform?
I would say it's between the Apple podcast and the YouTube, if I had to guess. I don't have
Interesting.
the data in front of me, but I think we have a pretty big slice of users who have Apple phones and Macs and iPads and so on. And then the YouTube is just pretty standard. But
Of
yeah,
course.
I would say those two. RSS, I don't think it's used much here. Uh, and I think for the Google podcasts also not a lot. Probably more Spotify because we have a lot of Spotify users. So yeah, I would say those are the top three: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and the YouTube.
So, no matter what platform you listen to us on, give us a like, give us a rating. We appreciate it. And
And if you're
Unless
hearing more
Alex
than
has.
one, just give a like in all of them, so and subscribe in all of
Ah,
them.
I like it. Do you have anything for us before we head out, Alex?
No, nothing for
You
me.
wanna?
I think we have
You
covered
sure
all
you don't
bases.
want to get another jab at Terrace Marshall? You know,
No, no, I've given all
maybe.
out of my jabs right now. I've hit
Okay, okay.
the Zach Charbonnet, I've hit Baker Mayfield, Terrence Marshall, and I even threw a small jab at Quentin Johnson. So I think all my jabs are in right now.
Yeah, you definitely did a jab at Quentin Johnson. There is no
Did
rock you're willing to unturn to say Quentin Johnson is going to be a bust.
Did you see that out of his 6 targets in preseason game one, he dropped two? The drops keep happening.
If you really are on this whole drop thing, huh?
Yeah, I mean, it was a problem in college, so I can expect it's a problem in the pros. And I think it's much harder to catch when you're in pads than you are when you're making highlights on YouTube, running in shorts. So let's see. Maybe it's not an issue, but right now in 6 targets, he dropped two, so pretty good again. Let's see how it happens.
Pretty. So, do you believe Quentin Johnson, if given opportunity, will lead the league in drops?
I mean, yeah, if he gets the targets, it's definitely a possibility. We'll be competing with Deontay Johnson, I would think, for drops. So yeah, uh, as I've said, I think the dude is a massive bust incoming. Uh, and the drops will be one of the main concerns as to why he might even lose some of the playing time. But yeah, we are diverging here a bit, but it's always nice to send some of these jabs.
All right. Well, thank you guys for listening. Have a great day.
Thank you guys. Bye.